Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to this special all-staff presentation about what it says up there, Office 365 and the Office 365 project. I'm Stuart Brown, for those of you who don't know me. I work down in ULCC in the basement. And I've been allowed upstairs into the bright lights of upstairs today to present, to be part of the team presenting to you today. A little bit of background will be what I start off with in a minute. We're then going to be doing a little bit from Jake Crittenden, who's the project manager here on this project. He's going to talk about what is Office 365 and how will it affect you, so the important nitty-gritty bits. Then Kit Good is going to stand up and talk about document management. And James Pastel also is going to be talking about what's going to change with the intranets with the new platform. Then we're going to be brave, and we've got a very brave lady down there, Lisa Scripps. She's the new senior ICT trainer and support officer, and she's going to be doing a live demo of a test Office 365 environment that we have here. And then with a bit of luck, we've got an hour. We should have about 15 minutes at the end to have some Q&A if you would like to ask any questions. Okay, so firstly, a bit of background. There is a rationale behind doing this. These are a couple of the strategic aims and objectives that come out of the corporate plan that was available to us at the time of us writing an ICT strategy a couple of years ago. Basically, I won't read them out, but for those at the back, it was to create a workforce that is more flexible, and to basically exploit the technological opportunities, coordinating the systems and staff working practices. So we took, there's a whole program of IT projects that we think we need to do to enable staff to be able to work more flexibly, and Office 365 is one of those. Okay, space. Not the final frontier or the lovely bit of technology on the left-hand side. It's more about what's on the right-hand side. And actually, this would be a lovely space. I think if Paul Wilkinson or Nicholas and Lewis are in at the moment, I think this is Virgin. One of the Virgin offices got a fake sky for those of us that sit in the basement. It'd be lovely. But what I'm talking about with that is it's not about the furniture. Yes, they'll be designing spaces that are quiet, that are hot desking, flexible, whatever. It's absolutely useless unless you have the technology to be able to support that. So we took a strategy. It's not just about Office 365. It's about a number of different projects in this program. So you'll recognize the logo on the left being of Link. Now we did Link this time last year as the first stage of this strategy. Link will enable many of you who don't use the full functionality of Link. If you forget about it being just a phone and think about all the other things that it can do, it will allow you to work on hot desk and work from home, work from anywhere, but not on its own. You'll notice coming up very shortly is the managed centralized print management project, which is just going out to tender at the moment. This is all about follow me printing. So if you think about if you can work in different spaces and you try and print something, it will just tell you, nope, you can't print this, I don't know who you are. So the idea with centrally managed print is you use these lovely ID cards and you can walk up to any printer and you can get your print out. It also has its advantage that it won't, if you print something out and you forget, which a lot of us do, you won't just leave it hanging on the printer for all to see or as wastage. So centralized managed print is another enabler, if you like, for flexible working. The middle one is it's a little bit more complicated. If you think about the number of different devices you all use to connect to university tools such as email or file share or whatever it is, you use all sorts of devices and we don't know anything about it. Apparently we do know everything about it, but I'm not allowed to tell you. So VDI, Virtual Desktop, is about making sure we provide a flexible or a secure desktop, like a Windows 8 or Windows 7 environment, to any device, whether it's an iPad, whether it's a MacBook, whatever it is. So this is the next tranche of what we're going to be looking at probably next year. Office 365, I'll let the other guys talk about in a bit more detail. But finally, we've got the wireless side of things. We did a project about 5 years ago to put wireless into this building. And it's creaking a little bit with the amount of use, the amount of devices we're now using, and it needs to be expanded and upgraded. So that's coming again next year as well. Quick one on the challenges we've got at the moment. I'll try to, there are a lot of challenges you'll see. Basically, far left-hand side, you can see that searching is particularly difficult. We've got data all over the place, and it can be a bit of a headache to do. The top slide being we're running out of space. That's not the IT department in the basement, but it's not far from it in some cases. And this isn't me either, on the right, looking at our data that is just growing exponentially and very difficult to back up and keep. We want to collaborate more. We can't do it very easily at the moment. We're starting to use Dropbox, which for an IT department is a nightmare. And if anybody actually reads or ticks that box and reads the terms and conditions of Dropbox, they certainly wouldn't be using it again. So you can't actually guarantee where your data is going to be or whether it's going to be there next week. Putting things on Dropbox, which is fine for people who want to keep your own personal stuff, but not necessarily for work data. And then finally, we've got Knowledge Tree, which is probably most people in this room won't know what that is. That's a document management system that we use for committee papers. We also use it for quality systems, but again, it's out of date and it's not supported anymore. So we need to find a tool that magically sorts all that out. And that's Sharepoint. Well, we hope so. It's not going to necessarily lead to everything to utopia, or, as we'd all like to do, sit and work on the beach. It will need quite a lot of work from you guys to accept the changes that it's going to make to your work practices. But we hope that what we build with your help as well will enable us to get somewhere close to that. Just a little bit on the financial business case. It's not all about functionality. We are actually making some business sense for doing this. So we hope to make about £250,000 saving over 5 years. A lot of that is down to changing the way where we store our data. So rather than storing it on expensive file share locally and backing it up, which costs a fortune, we start storing it in Microsoft's Office 365 environment. And that's it for me for now. I'm just going to pass you over now to Jake, who's going to talk about what Office 365 is.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, so what it is and how it affects me. Office 365. Office 365 is probably best described as a subscription-based service from Microsoft that provides an online portal. An online portal that you can access from anywhere with an internet connection and enables you to access your normal applications that you use on a day-to-day basis. So within the Office 365 portal, there are a number of elements. The Exchange Online, which is very similar to the current email system that we currently have in use. We use it today. We have Link Online, which is obviously our telephony service here at the university, which again links into Exchange and will link into Exchange within 365. Sharepoint Online, which I'll talk about a little bit more in depth in a second. That's a whole internet framework, an application that allows you to store documents, files, share documents and files, collaborate on stuff. It's quite a powerful piece of technology, and it's also the technology we're going to use to underpin the intranet going forward. Office Professional Plus is effectively a cut down, lightweight version of the applications you would find on your desktop within the university, but available online, remotely, wherever you might be, via any kind of normal internet browser, Firefox, Internet Explorer, etc. Yeah. Also included within the 365 environment is OneDrive. OneDrive is probably best described as being an online folder. So it's very kind of similar to the file file location or file share you would get with your R drive, but it's accessible via the internet and very secure. The advantages of OneDrive are that you can share documents directly from OneDrive without the need for Dropbox or an equivalent piece of software. Yammer. Yammer's a social network designed for the workplace. So it's very similar to Facebook, but it's designed to be used within the workplace and to facilitate communication and also to allow staff to communicate when perhaps they work more remotely and they're less in the office. So in order to keep abreast of things that are happening within the workplace. Okay, access to Office 365. As just mentioned, it's entirely internet based. So you can access it from your desktop internally at university, from any desktop anywhere else with an internet connection, through a whole variety of different browsers, i.e. Firefox, etc. It's also available as mobile, on the mobile via an app from your App Store, your iTunes, etc. And on tablets. Obviously, it introduces functionality around Office applications, so it makes things like iPads far more of use for work sort of purposes. Okay, benefits. Obviously, it allows you to work more flexibly. You can access it remotely, access it from wherever you might be. Allows you to have access to your files. The idea is that we're going to use the OneDrive as a replacement for your R drive. So if you have personal files that you store on your OneDrive, on your R drive at the present, and you find that you feel frustrated when you're at the weekend and you have to log in via VPNs, etc., in order to retrieve those files, this will do away with that cumbersome need for multiple logins. Effectively, you will navigate to a URL within a browser and retrieve your files. Or if you've got a mobile phone or smartphone, you'll be able to access it via an application, a mobile app on your mobile. The same goes with the use of SharePoint actually for access to your T drive, the files that you use on a day-to-day basis at university. So you can log in, access those, share those with colleagues, all again, as I said, through internet browsers. Mentioned previously that the portal also allows you to edit files via lightweight applications, Microsoft Office applications. So should you be away from the office with your phone in your hand and you want to make a quick edit to a Word document one of your colleagues has sent you, you're able to log into your app, pull down the document, make a few edits, save it back, and it will become available to colleagues internally as it were on the file share. So useful if you spend a lot of time out of the office. Again, same sort of idea, share files. Big advantage around the Exchange environment is that through the introduction of Office 365, it does away with a lot of the quota caps that we currently have in place and increases storage allocations. That isn't just within email, that is across the whole environment. So limits to R drives, to T drives, etc. all rise effectively through the use of Office 365. That's just a particular figure there. With OneDrive, which would be the replacement for the R drive, you get up to 1 terabyte worth of storage for free, which you can use for all your documents. It's not just limited to Microsoft Office documents. There's a whole raft of file types that you can save within a OneDrive location. Okay, so accessing Office 365, it's simply a case of navigating through your preferred browser to the Microsoft portal. There's a number of ways of accessing it, but for the purpose of the demonstration, so go through to the portal and you enter your email address. The introduction of Office 365 is going to bring about change to how staff will need to authenticate to services. The majority of services will be available through Office 365, but in order to to log in, you would have to use your email address and your current network password. That will become common across logging into your desktop of the morning when you come in, and other services that you currently use. So it's just an image that shows what the portal page looks like. And then you land in the home screen, which will be the staff intranet. This is just a mock-up that we've had built to demonstrate or illustrate what that might look like. It's not set in stone, but it's just an illustration. The idea being that we have a single intranet across the university that allows content sharing, news, information, etc., to all be disseminated through one place. There's a few tiles there that introduce other functionality that perhaps we use on a daily basis, and just places it in a central location for ease of access. There's access to your OneDrive, which will be, as I say, your hard drive replacement, task lists, news sites, etc. And across the top, you'll see that there's a banner with a number of other services mentioned. This is the home screen, the menu bar. You'll see this consistently throughout the whole of the Office 365 environment. It's a single point or single place to go to navigate to all the services within Office 365. You've got Outlook, which, if you're familiar with the use of OA, which I assume you are, it's very, very similar to OA. If you're confident using OA, you won't see a great deal of differences in the use of Outlook through 365. If you are an Outlook user, which most of you will be, you will continue to use Outlook. That won't change. It will just be a different way of accessing OWA, or if you're working remotely. Calendar speaks for itself, but it's the Exchange calendars we all know and use at the moment, but with increased functionality and obviously increased accessibility via the internet. People is effectively the university directory, staff directory. So this will be the place to go to look up people's contact details, email addresses, etc., etc. One of the big advantages of having people set up within the Office 365 environment is it allows for really tight integration with the linked telephony service. So if you look someone up, you can just click to dial with a mouse click, or send them an IM, or send them an email, all without navigating out of your browser window. There are a few other little features added into the people directory, such as profile pages, a concept called My Sites, which is effectively like having a little personal page on Facebook. You can also use it in a similar way to the wall on Facebook, where you can pull in news feeds on what other people might be doing, activities, updates, etc. Just touched on that. And access to your OneDrive. Again, another way of accessing it there. Sites. Now, Sites is the link that will take you into the Sharepoint environment. Okay, so this is just an illustration of a comparison between an R drive as we have it now and OneDrive as it will look in the Office 365 environment. It doesn't look very different on the face of it. It does allow you to securely share the documents. It does allow you to review the history of those documents. And if you prefer to access it via the means that you currently access your R drive, known as a file mapping, you can continue to do so if you wish. So there's an option to open it through URL or alternatively through my computer as you do at present. Okay, so sites, old T drive structure, which you're probably familiar with, and how it will look in SharePoint, which is probably the biggest difference. Sites in SharePoint work at the departmental level, a team level, and a project level. They also aggregate to produce the intranet. A departmental site, it will include things such as departmental email, shared calendars, shared task lists, documents specific to the department. So if you've got T drive ULCC, then you'll have a a document repository within your ULCC site that would be the equivalent of your T drive folder. Also has other little things included, such as blogs, discussion forums, picture albums, and so on. Quite a powerful way of collecting a lot of different files in one location. Okay, so that's just an illustration of the kind of topology or the structure that we're looking to create, whereby we have a single university intranet, then thereafter, or below, a departmental level site structure, and then team sites below that, with the content shared throughout that structure. That's a bit of a wrap up really, and just to sign out, it's simply signing out. Pass you over to Kit.
Hi there, for those who don't know me, I'm Kit Good. I'm the university's records manager, freedom information officer. Now, you'll of course all be familiar with the university's records management policy. I think it won the 2013 University Intranet Least Amount of Hits Award. But it does restate some of the basic points about the information we create and store, especially in this case in terms of our shared drives. So clearly records are the evidence of our actions and decisions as a university. In terms of responsibility, it's everyone's responsibility to effectively manage our records. There are certain risks around records. And in terms of retention, we only need to keep records for as long as they're relevant or as long as we're required to by law. And then rights is always the thing I'm probably banging on about most. The public often has a right to access our records under legislation like freedom of information or data protection. Now, in terms of shared drives, if my office looked like this and I went to John, my line manager, and said, could I have another desk, please? He'd more likely say, sort out the paper you've already got on your desk first. Yet I think we've sort of done this sort of technique with shared drives for many years now. This sort of thing is quite typical, even on departmental shared drives. It reminds me of those old days when you used to have VHS type libraries, of things you taped off the TV, don't tape over this, that sort of thing. So alongside the reports and the board minutes and things like that, we'll have the leaving drinks photos, the old stuff, that sort of thing. And shared drives can grow to a huge size with a sort of deceptive cost around it, which got us into the place we are now with our business case. You created a Word document back in 2004, the amount of backups we've probably done on it created a huge cost incrementally over 10 years in terms of the university for something that you never used again once you created it. Plus, the important things are harder to find or can be accidentally deleted. So these are often high-risk sorts of things. This is a visual from an analysis I did a couple of years ago on the shared drive of a fairly small team. People will be looking at Stuart, thought that was a really small amount of data, but actually it was 40,000 documents, and some of this sort of stuff was dating from the 90s. It hadn't been modified for, for over 10 years and things like that. And also it was based around more the filing sort of whims of people who'd been there before. So in some cases, someone left and they just created an entire copy of the drive up to that point and saved it under Kit's folder, and then they carried on with the shared drive on top. And that sort of stuff meant it was very difficult. We found huge bodies of documents that sort of looked important, but there's no labeling, there's no file naming conventions that could tell us how important it was in that case. So this is clearly something I think we all acknowledge happens to some degree or other in the shared drives we hold. Now, the brave new world of SharePoint. The system itself is not going to solve all our document management problems, but I think some of the functionality will make it a bit easier to store things, a bit more convenient. I think it will lead to a gradual sort of improvement. So in terms of SharePoint, the things I'm excited about, because I get really excited about these sorts of things, is things like retention periods and deletion for documents. We want to move it towards less the shared drives being this sort of graveyard of data than being a place where you can create documents, store them, but unless after a year you don't want to you don't still have a use for them or they're not required to be kept, then we can flag it up. We can say, well, let's get rid of this document then. Let's not have a huge amount of data there. There'll also be a lot of easy functionality to try and tag important documents as records. If you've got some minutes there, you'll be able to tag it as minutes and we'll be able to save it for a certain period of time. We'll also make sure we can try and get more of what what we call metadata, which is essentially the sort of the label on a can of beans, which tells you the sell-by date, or the record sleeve, which tells you what songs are on. It tells us about documents and their intrinsic sort of value. Version control is going to be very important in terms of collaboration, especially for people working on minutes or long-term sort of policy or training documents. And then a high-level common filing structure. I think this is one thing where it's going to be a challenge to implement it, but one of the things we have a problem with is lots of filing is done based on the individual, and I think we want to try and make it more based on what the university needs in terms of its records. And this will help us, I think, organise our information more consistently and effectively across departments. And so to sort of prepare for this new world, I like to try and use the analogy that if you were moving offices, then you'd probably sort out some of the paper that you had in the cupboard. You wouldn't want to take it all with you. You'd know stuff, so some elements of it would be no longer needed. Therefore, we're proposing a sort of shared drive tidy in this case, in the coming months as we move towards the migration. We don't necessarily want to move huge amounts of data, much of it that we don't still need, into the new SharePoint environment. We'd like to sort of try and start moving towards essentially a division in your shared drive between the information you know you want to keep and you know is important, and then the other stuff, the leaving drinks photos, the the old draft documents, the stuff that's not been modified for a long period of time. We'll be producing some guidance on this to try and make it easier. It's not going to be the most exciting job you're going to undertake in the next 6 months, but it'll really help the effectiveness of the new collaborative sites once they come into place. So that's really a brief account of the sort of document management vision. Sounds very grandiose, but the idea that this will help us develop. So I'm going to move on to James now, who's going to talk about the intranet vision.
Thanks, Kit. I'm James Pastel, Director of Marketing and External Relations, which by great irony also includes internal relations as far as this particular project is concerned. I'm going to be about 90 seconds talking about this stuff, so then we're going to move on to the main attraction, which is going to be a hell of a lot more interesting. First thing to say is that responsibility for the intranet and the university corporate website is moving from Joe Harris's team over to my team over the next few weeks. So firstly, enormous thanks to Jo for the work she's done on both web and intranet. I mean, she has pretty much built it up from scratch and held it all together over the last few years. And it's not easy with all the conflicting demands. We'll be advertising for a head of digital over the next few weeks, so keep your eyes posted for that. So that's an update on where things are going to sit. You have been talking about this for a long time. It's your intranet. You asked us, I think, as part of the staff survey in 2012, could we have a single intranet, please? Well, this is a further step towards it. Things do move very slowly in academia, but they're now moving a lot faster than I think they were, which is great news. It is the latest in a range of initiatives to try to get communications better, both top down, bottom up, and side to side. So we've changed the format of the all-staff meetings. We've just introduced a senior staff conference to get the sort of top 60 people within the university management structure in a room together a few times a year. And I think you'll see there's a greater visibility of senior staff as well going on at the moment. So it's all part of that process. And then finally, the reason for, we are a resource for you in the kind of marketing and comms team. So we're not there to police stuff or tell you how to do it. It is a kind of self-perpetuating thing, the intranet, and it's yours. So you're the ones that are going to be using it and driving it. But we can help in terms of design guidelines. We would like to see more use of, for example, video. Television has been invented for a while now, and we hardly use moving pictures on either the intranet or the website. So let's see more of that. Well, we can offer you advice in terms of style guide, in terms of editorial style, in terms of content, but we're not there to put a hard policing hand on it by any means. Sometimes stuff may need moderating. We don't really have that many message threads running at the moment. These things do take a little bit of time. Anybody who just has to click onto the Guardian and have a look at the comments, particularly today, there's been a fair few deleted from the Guardian's comment threads at the moment. They do need moderating, but a light touch is better than a heavy one. And there will be a physical set of guidelines as well for people to have a look at, just to help you on your way. So that's me. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Lisa, who is, I think, going to do some live stuff. So I rephrase that. Sorry, Lisa. I'm going to take over the demo.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the demo segment of this session where I'm going to take you on a tour of Office 365 and its features and its uses. So Office 365, I might repeat some stuff that Jake's already said, but obviously I'm going to be demoing as well. So it's basically you can access it from anywhere once you've got a PC or a device such as a smartphone or a tablet. So it's great for when you're maybe working from home or you're out and about. So let's have a look at the landing page. Okay, so again, this is just a mock-up really of the URL intranet that acts as a portal for 365. So it's just one place where you have to go to access everything you need. You will find features that you might already be familiar with, such as the tiles. So if you've used Windows 8 before, you're using it at the moment, whether it's on a PC or a smartphone or a tablet, that might be familiar to you. So these aren't finalised at the moment, but it's just an idea of what we could have. So we've got things like news, we've got Wi-Fi codes, team sites, OneDrive, and we've even got down here My View. So nice and easy and quick to get into. You can also access these features from the menu at the top, which again is going to be pretty much static, so it's always going to be there no matter what screen you're in. So let's have a look at OneDrive for Business. Okay, so again, this is going to be your new personal drive, or the R drive, as some of you might already be familiar with. It can again be mapped to your My Computer as a network drive if you prefer to work that way, sort of a Windows Explorer view really, rather than a website view. I don't know if you might have already used OneDrive already through Outlook maybe. It used to be called SkyDrive. They've now called it OneDrive. It's a feature in Outlook which was also called Hotmail. So it might look familiar already. What we've got here is we've got new. We can create a new Word document, Excel workbook, PowerPoint presentation, OneNote notebook, Excel survey, or a new folder. So if we click on these, takes us into Word Online, where we've got quite a lot of functionality in here, even though it's an online version. Down at the bottom, as you do make changes or edits, it just saves automatically. So if I type in that, for instance, you can see it's saving automatically. And if I click back on my name, it will just take me back out and I've got my document. So I'll just show you Excel as well quickly. Just to give you an idea. So back on my name, and you've got your documents in your folder. You can also upload files as well. So if I click on upload, I can browse to a location. This probably looks familiar to you. And I can upload this agenda, for instance. Click on OK. Or I can also upload, well, you can actually upload a folder as well if you want. So you don't have to keep adding files individually. Another feature we can use rather than upload is drag and drop. So if I open the folder itself, go into Documents, and I can click and drag a file across, and it will just basically move that file into OneDrive as well. You will notice that new files do have a green icon as well beside them to indicate that they're new, and it will obviously say as well a few seconds ago when it was modified. You can preview these files as well without opening them, which I think is a really great feature. So for instance, you might not be sure if the file is the one you need. Open menu gives you a preview. You can even scroll down through it to see if it's the right one. So let's open a file as well, just to have a look at editing. So it reminds me of Adobe PDF as well. So you've got file, obviously, you've got edit document, you might just want to print it, you might want to share. Sometimes you want to find certain words or add comments. But if I go to edit document, we can edit in Word, which if you've got Office installed on the PC, a full version, you can just open it in the full version. Or you can edit in Word online. So this is more if you're out and about or you're working from home. This can be, anything you save on here can also be saved on the full versions as well. So let me just maybe get rid of that. And you've got all the tabs that you would have. Again, it's about 80% functionality compared to the full versions. So again, it's saying saved. I can click on my name and I can come back out and that will be saved. I can also share this file with somebody. So I can tick that box and we've got share. I can invite people. So this can be internally and externally. So if I type in Jacob, for instance, and I can decide whether I want Jacob to edit or view. I can add in a message, click on share. I can actually go back in using this icon, share with, and it actually shows us who it's been shared with as well. So a bit of this is link integration when that's going to be configured. That's why you can see the photographs. So dual editing can be performed after you've shared the file as well, which is a great feature. So basically you can have live simultaneous editing. So you can actually see 2 or 3 people editing at the same time on screen. So it's great for collaboration. This new method of sharing as well, because it works internally and externally, is a great replacement for Dropbox. And even any of you that use WebDrop don't need to use that anymore either. Because what it does, it's really just sending you the link rather than a huge sort of 7 GB file, if you like. So it works better all around, really. So that's OneDrive. Let's move on to sites. This again is a mock-up of your new departmental drive or your TRS drive, whatever it's normally labelled for your department. So for this demo, we have actually used the ULCC branding. Other departments could possibly have their own branding as well. So we've got the intranet, we've got ULCC as a department, and then we've got the various teams in there as well. So central IT services, which is where I am. So it does look a little bit different to OneDrive. We've got team email, which is basically your department's mailbox if you've already got something similar to that in Outlook. We've also got team calendar. I'll just show you what this looks like. So this is what Outlook looks like. We've got calendar as well, which is useful for the team. Maybe you want to record external people coming in for visits, maybe resource planning team meetings, or maybe even just put in some sick and annual leave just for the team. Team wiki, so just information about the team itself. I won't go through all of them, but documents as well. Documents is pretty much the same as OneDrive. So you've got new, upload, sync, edit, manage and share. With documents, I'm obviously aware some of you have sensitive information, especially in HR or finance. So we can actually set up secure sites as well as public sites, if you like. So you don't need to worry about anything like that. So the tiles and links are customizable as well, and we will be having discussions with departments and have some workshops to talk around your requirements. Just to let you know as well, these jelly beans or link indicators, the presence ones where it shows if you're available, away, busy, they're not activated at the moment, but once it's integrated with link, they will become active. So if you want to work on somebody's document with them, you can see if they're actually available or not. Okay, so just generally Office Online, you can use that, and you've also got Office Mobile, so they're free apps for your smartphones or tablets. So 80% functionality of the full versions, but you will still be you've still got access to your versions on the desktop as well. So most of the time you will use Outlook. So 5% of the time you'll probably use webmail when you're out and about. So let's go into Outlook itself. So this might be similar to Hotmail or Outlook that you use on a personal level. Again, it is just a mock-up. So on the left-hand side, we've got the email folders themselves. For the selected folder, we've got the emails. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the detail in that particular email. You can see earlier I shared a file with Jacob, so he will get a notification. I'm copied in to let him know that I've shared a file with him. We can have a look at all, unread, to me, flagged, reply all, forward, and other tasks that you might use. I can create a new email. So if I send this to Jacob, Stuart, put in the subject. And then you can add attachments as usual. So I can insert attachment. So I might look for my agenda. You can go from here into a scheduling assistant as scheduling assistant is in calendar, but yeah, you can pretty much just click on send for that one. Then it'll appear in your sent items. Again, this is unlimited in size, so there's no need for enterprise bulk either anymore, which is another plus sign. For those of you who do like to work with the email detail displayed at the bottom rather than the right-hand side, that can be changed. So let's have a look at calendar. So again, on the left-hand side, you've got your calendar folders. I say calendar folders because it could be your own calendar, it could be somebody else's. Whatever calendar you're in, you'll have the detail itself. And your event, the details for that will be on the right-hand side. You can click on each day and it will show the events for that day. You can click on the event itself to edit or delete if need be. You can navigate as usual. using the next and previous arrows. This is quite new actually, where you can click on the months above. You can also share your calendar with somebody. And you can decide what sort of permissions you want to give them. Click on send. You can search the calendar for somebody if you want to add them in. So if I say Jacob, open a calendar, they'll be added at the top in a different colour. They'll also be added underneath. You can click on the star if you want to add them as a favourite. Otherwise, you can remove. So click on new event if I want to create an event. And then attendees. These are actually swapped around. You might be used to typing in the names at the top rather than at the bottom. So you'll set your start dates and time as usual. You can also mark as private if you want. You can request responses. Online meeting. So basically, if you've used link meetings, it's the same thing. You've also got scheduling assistant. So I don't know if you use this already, but it's quite useful to see when people are free at the same time and just check for conflicting events as well. So once you've done that, you can click on send. I'll click on discard then. So current contacts and groups will be transferred. I know people spend a lot of time adding team calendars and information like that. So any calendars or contacts will be transferred. Let's have a look at people. Again, if you use Outlook on a personal level, you know that people is contacts. New name for contacts. So on the left-hand side, we've got contacts folder. Then we've got the contacts in that particular selected folder. And then whoever you're clicked on is selected on, their details will appear on the right-hand side. So we can send a person a mail, schedule a meeting, or an instant message, which is link functionality. We've got all, people, individual people, and groups. So it's quite easy to search for somebody. We can just type in their name. You'll find that person in the list. If you've just typed the first name, there could be quite a lot of them actually. So then you should be able to add them in. So you can edit information if you need to, click on save, and they should be added in. If you want to create a new contact, so it could be an external person, for instance, you can put in their first name, middle name, last name, all the details that you've got. Click on save and they'll be added to the list as well. Or if you want to create a new group, so I might call this one Office 365 presenters. Add members. So Kit, James, Stuart, and Jacob. Click on save and they'll be added in. So you've got, again, individual people and your groups. Groups are obviously great because you can sort of bulk send people an email or a meeting. You don't have to add 10 people individually. So again, they should be transferred. I'll just show you as well, if I go into people, So we've obviously got a profile, I don't know if you've noticed that earlier, for this person. If I click on the link, it takes me really into the newsfeed area. So this is for Stuart. I can follow this person. If I work closely with him, I might like to know what's going on, information about him, any documents that we have in common. That's quite useful, I think. Again, you can get a preview. And you've got any activities for Stuart as well. So while we're in here, we can search. So if I search for Jacob, you can search everything, or maybe just people, conversations, this site. I'll just click on search. So anything to do with this person, I've selected everything. So we've got documents, we've got discussions, lots of bits and pieces in here. You might just want to look at people with that name, conversations, and then videos if there's only videos for that. So it's almost like another directory. Okay, so that's my demonstration done. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you're excited about times ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Just a quick summarise before we have a not very long for Q&A, I'm afraid, but just the top 10 benefits you're going to get as part of this. So, access to your documents anywhere, anytime. I think hopefully that message was made clear. So, any device, anytime, any tablet, any phone, you can get to your documents. Increased storage up to 1 terabyte. That's 1,000 gig. If you think about the average hard drive is about 5 to 10 gig. You're getting 1,000 gig, just to throw your lovely photos up on there. Email storage goes to 1 gig, from 1 gig, which is it is now, to unlimited. Now, unlimited is a star against that. I think if you were to go unlimited, you'd have a very difficult mailbox to manage. So we probably will put some capping on it, but it will be a significant improvement on what you've got now. Create, share, and collaborate on one platform. I think that's well demonstrated by Lisa. SharePoint forms. Now this is things like expense forms, finance expense forms, or HR sick forms. That can all be done through forms within SharePoint. Save a lot of trouble. Free apps. They're all available on all smartphones and tablets. You can view and edit, as you can see. The staff directory improvements hopefully came across as well. So it's all embedded in the intranet and in your 365 environment. Information will travel faster, so you're more up to date, and better document management. Save the right files to find them when you need them. I think that's the message you want to get across today. Okay.